Welcome to JazzTime. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. If you like this watch and would like to purchase it at the lowest price anywhere online, click on the link in the description below to buy it at JazzTime.com. Today, I'll be reviewing the Blancpain 50 Fathoms Automatic 42mm in titanium with a blue dial diving watch, reference 501012B40 or O52A. I'll tell you a little bit about the history of this watch, and then I'll tell you about where it lands in the stands in the lineup of other similar 50 Fathoms. Then I'll tell you about the case, bezel, dial, bracelet movement, finally try it on and give you my thoughts. So let's start just with a little bit of history. Now the 50 Fathoms, at least that's what it says on Google, is that it came out in 1953, and there's sort of a competition between the 50 Fathoms and the Rolex Submariner. Which of these was the first modern dive watch? Rolex is going to say them, and 50 Fathoms is going to say 50 Fathoms. Blancpain is going to say 50 Fathoms. Now, they both came out roughly in 1953, and so it's hard to say. Now, the 50 Fathoms was designed for the French diving combat units, and they needed to have a watch that could be easily legible, large enough to be seen, and durable enough to go underwater and go to a depth of 50 fathoms, which is 300 feet, or 100 meters, which is enough for diving. But the point is that its claim to fame is that it's the first diving watch. And Blancpain has really taken the 50 Fathoms and expanded this collection, and it's become their main luxury sports watch. And I believe without this collection, the brand would not be where it is today. So it has some historical significance. Now, Blancpain is not as big of a name as Rolex, but it doesn't mean that they weren't the first to market. They might have been. I mean, after all, 1953 on both sides, Rolex and this one. So it's hard to say. But at any rate, they came out with this Blancpain 50 Fathoms. And so over the years, they've done a lot of different variations. And this is the latest one as of 2026. Okay, so that's just a little bit of context about the 50 Fathoms. Of course, there's a lot of variations of it, and I'm going to go through all those. This is the latest one. That's what you need to know. And so the next part of the talk is, where does this watch stand in the lineup of other similar 50 Fathoms? Well, as you can imagine, now the 50 Fathoms, they have many different variations. 42 millimeter is on the large side, so this is the large. They also make a smaller version of this at 38 millimeters, which could be also worn by men because the watch itself still looks masculine. It's just 38 millimeters is a little bit smaller, can fit actually most wrists. Actually, there's guys that can fit both, either 38 or 42. That's why they make different variations. They may actually make more or less the same configuration, but in size 38 for if you have a small wrist. And they actually also make the 50 Fathoms, at least it looks to me like a woman's watch, because they have ones that are like pink and such, and with mother of pearl. So I'm going to assume that it's probably for women, and they make those in 38 as well. And then they go off and they make many different variations. They make some limited editions with different straps and different like things on the dial and other complications, such as chronographs and even tourbillons they make. So, and they make just a lot of different variations of it. Okay, so but what we're going to focus on here today is the variation that you're looking at here, with the thicker bezel. They also make another one called the Bathscape, or I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but it doesn't really look like a 50 Fathoms you might like that you have here. This one with the 50 Fathoms with this thicker bezel like this is there's not a whole lot of them. Okay, so with that said, let's start talking about the watch itself, starting with the case. Now Blancpain decided to make this watch in titanium, which actually I'm going to say it's the better choice. It's a better choice than the Rolex Submariner comes in steel. Steel is easier to work with, but it's not as lightweight. and strong as titanium. And if this watch is going to be used in a sporting tool-like fashion, it only makes sense to make it in titanium. The only reason that you wouldn't is because, one, it's very expensive to machine things in titanium because it's much harder material to work with, but the benefits are there. And so I like that they did that, and especially since this watch has a price point of $20,300, double that of the Submariner. But by the way, you can buy it at jazztime.com for way less than that. We're selling it around $15,000, $14,000, something like that as of 2026. So you get quite a bit of discount. And so it ends up being more or less the same price as a Rolex Submariner, but you get a watch that is sort of off the beaten path, and it's in titanium. So I think that's pretty cool. I like that part of it, definitely. Okay. It has a nice case. It's a thick, but it also matches the rest of the watch. It doesn't look as if it was trying to be the skinny dress watch. No, it's a thick watch, and it's 14 millimeters, despite it only having time and date. Only it's 14 millimeters, a few millimeters thicker than, for example, a Submariner, which I think is around 12 millimeters and change. So it's a little bit thicker, but it's a beefier looking watch. The Submariner, sometimes people complain it looks too skinny or too small. And at 40 millimeters. It also has a lug width of 21.5. Strange. Most watches have either 21 or 22. This one's 21.5. But that's not a bad thing because it makes this watch look a little bit more beefier. And they must have decided, you know what, 22 is too big, 21 is too small. Let's make it 21.5. And they came to the exact right proportions of it. And I think it looks really stunning the way, this way. It's simple, but it's a sports watch, and it's a nice size. It's a nice competitor to the Submariner, which everybody has, and so it's not bad to have something that not so many people have. Okay, that's this. Okay, let's look at the bezel here. The bezel is a nice blue. It's unidirectional, and it sort of has a dome to it. It's not exactly flat. It has a sort of a curvature to it, and it's a little bit glossy, and it's very easy to read. You set the bezel, this little diamond at the hour marker. It's unidirectional, and then it calculates elapsed time, for example, like on a dive, how far you would go. And it's unidirectional so that you can't accidentally think that you have more time than you have. So that's a standard thing among dive watches. And probably 50 Fathoms, Blancpain, and Rolex are the ones who figured this out, and then this design has endured ever since. So that makes it like almost 80 years. It's quite some time. Okay. That is the bezel. Let's look at the dial here. I also like that Blancpain really makes an effort to make the dial look very legible, and that's probably as a result of their initial French diving team requirement to make the watch very legible. Rolex uses circles and triangles at their 3, 6, 9, at those crucial hour markers, but Blancpain decided to go with actual numerals, 12, 3, 6, 9, which also makes it very legible, and they have really legible hour markers, and so I like that. And one cool thing is they did not put a funky cyclops at the 3 o'clock. Instead, they hid the date between the 4 and the 5, so it doesn't obstruct the watch in any way. It's totally legible in every way, but you just have a little window open to the date. I think it's a really smart place to put it. It doesn't obstruct any of the hour markers, so the time telling is consistent while still maintaining the ability to check the date, which we often forget. I don't think you'll be checking it when you're diving, but people wear this when they're not diving, most of us. Okay, let's look at the strap. This is where I'm going to say that Blancpain really wins or takes the cake here. The strap is a sail canvas strap. Okay, it's made to look like a cloth, which actually I think really makes the watch, it's the hippest thing right now. Rolex, if they were to do something like this, they'd explode the market even more than they already do. It makes the watch look, it allows it to be both a dress watch as well as a sporting watch because of this canvas strap. It just looks really cool. It's really in fashion at the moment, so I definitely like it. Now you can choose, okay, between this one has a pin buckle, okay, it's just a standard pin buckle that you would have like on your belt. Now that's cool, but also if you want to have a different buckle, they also make it with a deployant buckle, which costs a little bit more money, but doesn't really change the watch. It just changed the last couple digits on the reference number from 052A to 052B, not a big deal, and it adds like another $2,000 to the price tag or something like that. Okay, but anyways, that's just the buckle. This one has a pin buckle. Okay, let's look at the movement here. Movement is also one of the cool things about this one that stands out as opposed to the Rolex Submariner, because the Submariner has a closed case back. This one has an open case back, which I think is it's the best thing. You're paying all this money for a watch that has a automatic movement, which, by the way, this is a caliber 1315 automatic movement, so you should be able to see it. Do you not agree? I mean, you're paying for something. Don't you think you should be able to see what you're paying for? So if you're and Rolex is claiming that their movements are this and that and it's so great and whatever, well, then show it to us. You know, if it's so great, then why can't we see it? Why do you cover it up? In fact, they don't cover it up on some of their higher end pieces. I wonder if it's a cost issue that they don't want to show us the movement or what. But I like that Blancpain is definitely showing their movement, and you can see it right through the case, and it's a beautiful movement. It's different. It's cool. It's uniquely Blancpain. I like that you can have this little slit in the middle of the rotor to see the rest of the movement, and the gears, everything. It's nice. They do it in their own way. It's quite a nice, and I like the way that the case back sits. It's not your standard way to remove a case back. I like the way that they did it here. It's pretty cool. Okay, that is it. So let's try this watch on and give you my thoughts. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, another crazy thing is this watch actually has a power reserve of 120 hours. That would actually make it the longest power reserve of any of the major brands on a watch like this. With just one barrel. I know Panerai sometimes makes 8-day power reserve, but they actually end up using 2 barrels. I don't think this one uses 2 barrels. I have no idea how they managed to make 120 hours. Maybe they do have 2 barrels. I'm not sure. But they managed to make 120 hours. That's crazy. No, just by reference, Rolex is making watches that have a power reserve of 70 hours. Compare 70 to 120. And you know, you might wonder, oh, that's not a big deal. Well, actually it is, because for example, many people have more than one watch. They wind it and they put it down in the case. They're gonna have to wind it in 2-3 days on a Rolex or a Panerai or a Audemars Piguet, or Patek is even less. It's actually usually like 48 to 50 hours. So that's 2 days. But this Blancpain can go for 120 hours, which is what, like 5.5 days or something like that. It's quite some time, you know. So it's almost a week, you know. It's crazy, and they still managed to fit it all in this not very big size. It's not like it's a thick watch. It's 14 millimeters. That's not that thick, considering that it's 42 millimeters in diameter. Having 14 millimeter thickness is not bad at all. So yeah, a lot of positives on this watch. So time to give you my thoughts. Now, my thoughts are that Blancpain, whether Blancpain or Submariner were first, okay, it doesn't really matter, because they both came out more or less at the same time. So they were competitors. Rolex happens to be a bigger brand, but it's cool to have a watch that is not is off the beaten path. It's a really beautiful watch. It's a classic in a way, not the way that Rolex is, but it's still a classic watch, and it's modernized, and you can also buy it at a discount. So I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up, and if you want to buy this watch at the lowest price anywhere online, click on the link in the description below to buy it at jazztime.com.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model, and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.